Well, and welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast, number 19, live but recorded from the Go Spurs Go Memes studio. I am your host, Ray, joined by Buddy, Frank, and Jack. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. It is our first podcast of 2016. I hope everyone had a safe and wonderful New Year's Day, I should say. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah, it's another week.
Another week, right?
Good stuff.
Frank, how was your New Year's, man?
It was fantastic. Sean and I made a little wager on the Notre Dame and Ohio State game, and I came out ahead. So I'm going to eat delicious steak and lobster.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that was a fantastic.
Yeah, and Sean isn't here with us this week. He actually went up north. He went traveling for a little bit, so hopefully he'll be back with us next week, but he's not here today, so... Anyways, Buddy, how was your New Year's?
It was good. I saw some fireworks at Fiesta, Texas, and then I fell asleep like an old man at 11:30. So I was pretty lame. I'm starting to realize as I get older how lame I am. It's like because I was telling Frank about this earlier. I was like, you know what? I could have gone out and maybe done something with some people, and I don't know anybody to go out with and go do things with people. And I was like, that's by my design.
Right.
So it's sort of funny how that works. But yes, it went well though.
I find myself celebrating like the New Year, the New York New Year's Eve party, and because they're done at 11,
exactly.
and so
I'm ready for bed.
Really,
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't want to stay for the San Antonio one, but my wife wanted to. I had taken the girls to SeaWorld to go see fireworks there, which was really awesome. They did this one thing I hadn't seen before. They use these things called water cakes. They're basically fireworks. So when the fireworks are going up and everything, you see this thing freaking like launch at you, like it goes kaboom, and you see crap fly at you. Whoa. But what happens, it actually hits the lake and it turns the lake on fire. And it stays on fire for a bit, and I was like, that's the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen before.
I don't think those are fireworks.
That sounds just like there's very small room for error on that one.
Oh, no.
So it throws this stuff all over the crowd, and it lights it on fire.
It's called Burning Man. It was the coolest thing, and they did it a couple times during their fireworks finale and stuff like that. So I was like, man, that was really cool. I'd never seen that before. But what I found out is that they're called water cakes.
You know what? It's funny you say that, right? Because we didn't go into Fiesta, Texas and see it. We were the cheap Mexicans,
right?
And went to go see it
on the gate.
No, even better. In
like
La Cantera, you park right there at La Cantera.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Now, mind you, because I don't know if
you're not the only ones there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's lots of people, right? But the wall basically just separates like Fiesta, Texas, and you literally can touch the Superman.
Right. It's like right there.
Literally.
So all of the fireworks are going off right there at the Superman thing. So like you're feeling all of the stuff from the fireworks,
the ash,
the actual things. I'm like, man, this is really close. I wonder if they really thought about this one.
I'm pretty sure they did.
They're probably like, it's a parking lot. Nobody's gonna come over here. Mexicans don't come this far out.
It's too rich for this.
And Buddy's like, gotcha.
I wasn't the only one.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah, so New Year's was great. Like I said, I hope everyone had a safe, happy New Year's. This is the first of many podcasts for the rest of the year. Our plan is, of course, to continue delivering these podcasts every single week. So by the time we're done with this, we'll be, in the 70s, 80s of podcasts that we've already done. So that's kind of crazy to think about, but that's where we're going to be. Anyways, I think it's time to do the news. Very nice, buddy. Thank you.
That's perfect.
All right, so let's see what's going on in the world of the NBA. Kyrie Irving will soon have his minutes restriction lifted. So as we know, he's been injured. He was only allowed to play up to 9 minutes. That was his max. He couldn't get double-digit minutes, but that's going to be lifted very, very soon. Yesterday, Stephen Curry suffered another lower leg contusion, and he had to leave the Denver game. Did not return to that game. So I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with Stephen Curry's leg.
You want to hear something funny? It's hilarious you actually bring this up. So Frank and I were talking about this. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about how the season's starting to go now because now the Warriors are actually starting to see the kinks in the armor now.
It's very true.
So last year they were very fortunate. They didn't have pretty much any bad injuries. Now this season already you've got Curry who's out. Now he'll be out for about 3 or 4 games. Ezeli was out yesterday.
Right, he's been out for a while.
He's been out for like about 3 or 4 games. Barnes has been out for a while, like 2 or 3 weeks now. They're starting to feel that injury bug that all of those people last year in the playoffs are starting to feel, and now they're starting to get tested. Last night they barely beat the Nuggets, and you'd think that we hammered the Nuggets yesterday last time we saw them. So.
Well, not just that, but I mean they went to Houston and barely beat Houston, and I really think that if Houston would have been a better team, they should have beaten the Warriors. They really should have had that game. So, like you said, I do agree with you, buddy. There are lots of tinks in the armor there. So we'll see what happens with the Warriors. But the injury bug has hit that team.
Although he did hit, Green had like this crazy triple-double yesterday.
Did he really?
He had 27 points, I want to say 16 boards and 13 assists. It was ridiculous. I was like, man, that's a big-time triple-double right there.
That's awesome. The Knicks are interested in trading for Detroit's Brandon Jennings. Supposedly they did see a workout with him, but they weren't too impressed with him, so we'll see if that actually happens. Eric Bledsoe with the Suns is out for the entire season after suffering another meniscus injury. He did have surgery and will be out for the rest of the year. Along with Phoenix this past week, they did fire 2 assistants just so that they could give Jeff Hornacek another and final chance to turn that team around. It doesn't look like it's going well right now.
Good luck.
Matt Barnes from the Memphis Grizzlies did receive a suspension for his altercation with his ex-wife and Derek Fisher. So I don't know if you guys remember this. I did mention this a couple weeks ago when it first kind of came out. So his ex-wife kind of got with Derek Fisher. Barnes showed up at the household, got into a whole fight with them. I'm not too sure if he did anything to the wife, but I know that he did try to like choke out Derek Fisher.
Right.
The league is aware of it, and they have decided to suspend him for those actions. And the other interesting story this week, the Knicks clear Anthony early. Now, this is my favorite story of the week. He was actually mugged outside of a Queens gentleman club. And basically, when he exited the facility, he was approached by 6 men that proceeded to shoot him in the knee. They beat him up. They took all of his money and his gold chains. And the most amazing part was that they also yanked out all of his gold crowns in his mouth.
God, that's just awful.
Yeah, so luckily, after his surgery and everything like that, the gunshot wound, the bullet went straight through, nothing was lodged in there, and the structure of his knee was not damaged at all. So he's going to be able to make a full recovery. But they didn't say anything about his teeth, so I was kind of worried about that too.
Oh, I can't even imagine how painful that was. Like, somebody was really following him. They had to really
I
been
guarantee
following
you, he was in there getting lap dances, and these girls were probably texting their boyfriends saying, like, this guy got money, get over here now.
And mind you, he went to Queens. Isn't that, like, supposed to be real hood, I think?
Yeah, no, it straight up is. That's what I'm saying. Like, 2 lessons learned. 1, don't go to a strip club in Queens, and 2, don't go to Queens. So some important dates coming up right now. January 5th is the day that 10-day contracts can start to be signed. And on January 10th, that is when unguaranteed contracts become guaranteed for the rest of the season. And if you're wondering why that could affect the Spurs, if you keep in mind Matt Bonner is a Spur that does have an unguaranteed contract. If the Spurs don't waive him by the 10th, his contract does become guaranteed.
Hopefully somebody forgot to do that.
So what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
No?
I really don't know what's going to happen because
I'm just completely confused why they even give him a roster spot.
I don't know because, he played last night. But for
he only had 4 minutes,
yeah,
no points.
Yeah. And for a while now, I think he's played like maybe the last 3 games.
He's a victory cigar.
Right, he really is. So I was really surprised because most of the time he's either been listed as inactive or he's been in uniform, but he's just sat on the bench, like they haven't put him in. And so it was kind of looking like, okay, is this signs that they're going to get rid of him? But then the last couple of games, he actually got to play. Not much time, but he did get to play. So I don't know what the plan is going forward for Matt Bonner. I don't know if they're going to keep him or waive him.
The only thing that I can figure that he's in there for is like some kind of like insurance policy in case somebody gets hurt. Like I can't see any other reason for it.
Well, it's that, and the Spurs do like 10-day contracts. So if they did waive Bonner and they wanted to have somebody in there for insurance purposes, they could just sign somebody to a 10-day contract. But if you really look at it, he's making the veteran minimum anyways. So if they waived him, they save that money. But if they need another body, they can only afford to get somebody at a veteran minimum. So it's like, do you go ahead and waive Bonner, somebody that knows the system, and try to bring somebody in that has to learn the system? What's better?
I just don't understand why you even pay. I mean, the veteran minimum is more than any of us altogether make.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean,
maybe you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fred. But I mean, the thing is that like, to me, I would say, why not just take the chance, try to get somebody. I mean, we could get Carlos Boozer at the veteran minimum probably. I mean, and Boozer's not bad.
Yeah, well, I think Boozer thinks he's worth more. That's why he's trying to see if
he's
Milwaukee.
Right now.
Well, that's why Milwaukee wants to sign him, is because they're looking at a veteran that can come in and help those young kids. Maybe make a run for the playoffs in the East, and the Bucks will pay him more than what the Spurs would.
That's true.
So I mean, it's just one of those veteran players that thinks he's worth more than he actually is, and that's the case with Boozer. That's why nobody signed him during the offseason. If he would have taken a veteran minimum somewhere, somebody would have signed Boozer. Easy.
Let's call up some Gilbert Arenas action.
And then the last important date is February 18th, which is the NBA trade deadline. That happens at 3 p.m. Eastern, so we will keep an eye on that because there are tons of rumors already going. I heard yesterday the Bulls are actually putting up Paul Gasol.
Yes, I heard that.
So
too.
I had already known about Joakim Noah and Taj Gibson, but I was very surprised that they would put Paul Gasol up there. But the reason why they're putting Gasol up is because Gasol already said he wants to go into free agency.
Right.
So the Bulls want to be able to get something for him before he does that.
It's sort of weird. You sort of think that like the Bulls are sort of like falling apart internally. I don't think they really have like a complete chemistry with Hoiberg as the new coach, and I think there's some kind of disconnect going on there. I think that's why you're starting to see some of the players, like you're hearing trade rumblings. They're talking about what they're going to do with Rose. They're talking about
they need to get rid of Rose. He's broken merchandise,
and that's the thing. I think that's really their whole problem.
I think so too.
I think they're trying to like pawn it off on Noah or pawn it off on some other player who has Gibson, for instance. Gibson's solid,
right?
I think Gibson's really solid for them, and he comes off the bench, mind you.
Right.
So you ask yourself, why are you hanging on to Rose and you're paying him an exorbitant amount of money?
Exactly. Like focus on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is your all-star. He is your future. Focus on him. Build a team around him. But for some reason, they just don't want to let go of Derrick Rose because he's broken merchandise. He is not going to return to. He really is. He's not going to return to all-star form anytime soon.
Either way, it's a loss for him. I mean, they just need to learn to accept it and move on.
Yep,
and
exactly.
I think they're just holding on to him because he's such an expensive player.
Yeah, and the problem is that you and there's probably we're being a little critical here with this because I mean, what are you going to do? No, but I mean, really, what can you do though? I mean, let's say you do want to get rid of him. I mean, you have to trade him away. How the heck are you going to trade?
You got to try to get something for him before he's done.
And everybody knows he's done. So you're not going to get anything worth it. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. Okay, and then finally in the news, the big announcement that was done yesterday is that NBA referee Joey Crawford has announced his retirement after 39 years. So I went ahead and put a post up on Go Spurs Go memes because I wanted to see people's reaction to this. And man, I think over 40,000 people saw that post. Yeah, 40,000 people. That's what I said. And there was crazy amounts of response, likes, whatever. But it was the interesting thing to me was that it was very varied. There was a lot of salty responses, and then there were a lot of like, "Oh, I actually like Crawford. I thought he was a great referee." So it was very, very interesting to see the responses that Spurs fans kind of had to him. Jack, I know that you kind of looked up some stats about Joey Crawford that we kind of want to talk about. Everything that he's done, his career, and then I think you also looked at past couple years.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So he has been in the league almost 40 years since 1977. He's worked more playoff games and more NBA final game than any other active ref, which I think is at least some kind of proof, some data that justifies him being one of the best refs in the league.
Agreed.
He also received the Golden Whistle Award. Had no idea there was a Golden Whistle Award.
Is it really gold? Is
it like a golden
I don't
ticket?
know. But the National Association of Sports Officials in 2014 gave him that award. It is their highest honor. I love Basketball Reference. If anyone really gets into stats, basketballreference.com is a great site.
Yeah, it's the best.
Because it'll actually go in and it looked at games that Joey Crawford was refereeing. And compare them to what else is going on in the league, kind of the league average. And so I found that for his career and games that he referees, teams are only attempting 3.3 less free throws and 2 less fouls are being called a game.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Usually
That's
when you think
against
of
the whole,
I mean, you think that he's going to call everything, and they were kind of limited stats. They didn't look at technicals or anything like that.
That's the one I would be interested in knowing what his technical rate.
Yeah,
because that's the thing he was known for.
And I think that's the thing too. Is I think the Spurs fans have a bitter taste with Joey Crawford because of what happened between the Spurs and Dallas. Tim Duncan laughing on the bench. He got ejected for the game, and everybody just kind of looked at Joey Crawford like, "Oh, you really wanted Dallas to win that series or whatever." And of course, everybody goes into the whole the NBA is rigged. The former commissioner, he hated the Spurs. He never wanted the Spurs to win championships. Yada yada yada. But he overall he really was a good ref, and I actually think people will miss him once he's gone.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about him too? It's just not the Spurs.
Right.
No, Cleveland had a big beef against him. I don't know how
Dallas.
LA was. Like Dallas as well. It's just,
No, Jack found this awesome thing that he was telling me about
so
yesterday.
The 2006 Game 5 of the NBA Finals If you don't remember it, Miami was playing Dallas. Dallas had home field advantage. They go up 2-0. It looks like it's going to breeze. It's not even going to be funny. And then they get to Miami, and the floor drops. So game 5, particularly of the finals, Wade attempted 25 free throws. The Mavs as a team only shot 25 free throws.
Wow.
So, I mean, and the
Reminds me of Jordan.
the Miami Heat went on to win the series. And so even though Cuban denies this, there was a reporter, John Canzano of the Oregonian, did a little bit of research, talked to this guy who's a former FBI agent, Warren Flagg, who said that Cuban hired him to investigate the NBA, investigate their refereeing. And even though nothing ever came of it, the report was, and the quote from this Warren Flagg guy was, Cuban asked me what he should do. I told him, if you sue, you're going to win your case.
That's just crazy.
That's just crazy.
But,
That's crazy,
but then
right?
again, like, you're killing your moneymaker there.
It's true because if you were to sue the NBA for reffing, then any other team could sue. It would completely break down the entire league.
It
I mean,
sets
who knows what would
precedents.
happen? It really does. So who even knows what would happen if Cuban sued? And it's just like you said, Jack. You break your moneymaker.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess this is interesting, and I hopefully we'll have a segment about this in the future. Frank knows me.
You're not
He's
getting a
known me
segment,
for
buddy.
years.
You
Not,
talk
not
too
for
much.
me.
Not for you. You're not getting a segment. Write that down, Frank. Buddy's not getting a segment.
Yes, sir.
Frank knows that I was always a conspiracy theorist with the NBA. It's actually gotten better in the last maybe 10 years, right? But he always known that I've been a conspiracy theorist in the NBA. However, I think the NBA has tried really hard to like quash conspiracy theories.
I'm sure.
Well,
Unlike the NFL, for instance. Like, for instance, now the NFL doesn't have conspiracy theories, but like, for instance, the bad publicity that they get, they do a really bad job of like masking that. For instance, I'll give you a good example here. The concussion movie, right?
Right.
I'm really, really shocked that they didn't like litigate that into oblivion. And yet they let that come out even on a Christmas holiday, mind you. So like it's got so much exposure, and it may be like flawed thing or
You
whatever.
validate it if you defend it sometimes, and
Frank
that's what
has a
you got to
good
watch
point
out.
there.
You gotta watch out.
There is a thin line between that,
It's
but
a
Frank
thin
is
line,
right.
but you don't see those kind of things in NBA though. That's what's funny about it all. It's like you
Well,
could make a point. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Jack.
You saw it with the Tim Donaghy book, the former ref that got busted
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
right, that's right.
And that was the other thing is some of the research I did. It got me looking, and there were a couple excerpts of his book. They were talking about the 2000 and I'm trying to look for it. One of the Western Conference Final games where it was the Spurs and the Lakers, and the league, of course, at the time they wanted Lakers Boston, and the Lakers ended up winning the series, but it was a pivotal game 4, and Donaghy in his book basically says, like, they put Joey Crawford there because they wanted LA to win. And end up, the game was close, but it came down. There was a last second, I guess LA was up. Britt Barry had a last second shot to win the game. And Derek Fisher kind of fouled him, kind of brushed up against him, but there wasn't a foul called. And I mean, Pop came out and said, no, I wouldn't have called it a foul if I was reffing the game. Like, yeah, there was a little bit of contact, but it didn't affect the shot. Like, whatever. But, according to a lot of what he said in his book, it's completely rigged.
Donaghy was like big about this. He
Yes.
did say that a lot.
And they tried to bury that book as much as they could.
That's just crazy.
See, I mean, I guess it goes to show what I always say is just who complains about officiating? Losers.
Yeah.
And is after I was doing everything, he definitely wasn't afraid to make a call. He stood up for himself in a lot of a league with super egos,
Right.
And so he probably crossed the line a little bit. But probably the only bad thing I would say about him is so many times the game was not about the players. It wasn't about what was on the court. It got to be about the refs. And I don't
Right.
care what sport you're playing, when the game becomes about the refs and is controlled by the refs, something's wrong.
You got a very good point, and I don't think there's anything left to say about this other than I really am going to miss Joey Crawford falling down all the time because I love those bits.
That is amazing.
We'll be back talking Spurs in just a bit. And we're back, and it's time to talk Spurs. The whole cast is here. Frank, Buddy, Jack. Gentlemen, we've had a couple of games this past week. Spurs have won all the games this week. They beat Minnesota, Phoenix, and of course last night they did take out the Rockets. They took the trash out last night, got revenge on the Rockets. Before we kind of start talking about team stats and everything like that, I think we need to take time to talk about the most amazing player that is on the Spurs roster right now. He
Matt
comes from... we need to talk Boban Marjanovic.
I think he's dominated our discussion all week.
Yeah, he really has dominated. I think he's dominated everybody's discussion. We kind of discussed this before about Boban mania, people going nuts about it. And it really hit a peak this past week. If you kind of notice on Twitter, there's even a Boban fan club account that started. And this guy or girl, I don't know who runs it, but they basically retweet any single thing with Boban. They also try to do a push to get Boban on the All-Star game, which isn't going to happen.
That's a stretch.
And I was like, it's not going to happen, man, because he's a rookie. So he can only go to the rookie game unless all the fans vote him in to the main All-Star game, and that's just not going to happen. Not when you got, Kobe Bryant with, 800,000 votes.
It's insane.
Which is absolutely insane, but there's no way Boban's going to get in there. But hopefully the coaches will vote Boban into the rookie All-Star game, and he'll get to play
What
in
are you
that.
guys thinking on that? I think so.
I hope so. I think it would be a huge mistake for the NBA not to put him in there because
he's an attraction.
He's an attraction, and right now, I'm telling you, in the NBA, everybody is finding out who Boban is, and people are just getting blown away by him. And not just because of his size, but if you started looking at what people are saying about him, they're talking about his shot. They're talking about that sweet little touch that he has when he releases the ball. And, I mean, he can ball. He can just, palm a ball.
Mm-hmm.
He can just palm a ball.
He can bomb two balls. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. He's so much taller than everyone else. And there's so many pictures of people trying to guard Boban, and the look on their face is like, I've just made a terrible mistake,
And these aren't short people. I mean, these are 6'9".
Exactly. I mean, he's just dominating everybody. He can get across court in 5 steps. He's much faster. He's much faster than I think most people thought he was going to be, and his adjustments to the game has been really, really good. I was really hoping that he would have more time against Dwight Howard last night. I wanted to see more of that. But we never got to see that, and before we knew it, they had already pulled Dwight Howard out.
So last night I was listening to the pregame on the Spurs Network with Chad Forcier, so one of the assistants, right? And he was talking about how he was amazed at how talented. He said that of all the 20 years that he's worked in the NBA, he says he has to be the top 3 players that he's ever had as far as overall talent. Which I was like, wow, that's interesting. Of all the people he's ever said, he says that he picks up everything very well, right? That he's a sponge, that he wants to absorb everything very well, and that he's very hidden as overall talents overall in basketball, that he lives, breathes, eats basketball. I'm like that. I mean, you would think that. I mean, being what
he's got to eat something.
He could eat us. Yeah. But I mean, the thing you see with him is that you're starting to see the constant improvement in Boban's play. To me, that's the most important thing. I love the fact that he is basically a cultural phenomenon at this point, right? But to me, overall, I think that his overall play has improved quite a bit, even on the defensive side, which I was one of the biggest ones, and I told Dre about this, is that, I was one of the biggest doubters in his defense overall, because I saw the video when we first got him that he was
not
bad.
Just that, during the preseason when he would actually play and go out there, we saw he just could not keep up with the athleticism from the NBA. And of course now he's had time to practice. He's working with Duncan on a daily basis. He's growing. It's just like you said, he's a sponge. He's picking everything up. And when he actually steps out on the floor, you can actually see the improvements that he's made into his game to get him ready to be an NBA player.
And we compared him to Sabonis at one point or another because of the fact of what kind of impact a big player who could move around and shoot the ball could have. But I think that when you start looking at him even closer, I think he could potentially be better than Sabonis because
I agree.
I don't think you need to depend on a three-point shot with Sabonis. Sabonis was not a great inside the basket player, at all. He was sort of soft when it came to that kind of stuff. He was a better outside shooter for sure, and he was not a great defender at all.
Right.
So Boban has a great ceiling, and he's still very young. He's still a rookie.
He's only 27.
So I want to see more of him. Is the thing. That's the thing.
He needs more minutes.
He needs more minutes. But they did say, and this goes back to the last thing I was going to say, is that he did say that they all run on a very tight leash. They were talking about three players in particular. Talking about Simmons, they were talking about Anderson, and they were talking about him. That they run on a very, very tight leash. That
Right.
any kind of little mistake that they make, they get pulled in reality.
Exactly.
Because of the fact that that's just the way Popovich runs, is what
Right.
it is. So my guess is that a lot of this will be contingent on what happens with them and their overall play. But I would love to see more minutes from him.
And even, I'm fine if they send Boban up to Austin just to get more minutes to play a full game because he needs more minutes. He's just going to continue to grow. And I mean, we saw that when he did go play with the Austin Spurs. And I mean, man, he freaking owned I think it was they were playing the Reno team, if I'm not mistaken. But, he was doing like trick passes. He was slamming. He was rebounding. I mean, he completely dominated that game. And that's what I think after he had that game, he came back with so much confidence. He came into the NBA game, and he just started dominating as well. And we've seen that the last couple of games. Last night, not so much. He only got in like the last 4 minutes that were left. He had a couple shots. He missed them. They were last-minute shots. He didn't really get to post up or do anything like that. But he did get some rebounds. But he did have a very short amount of time in the Houston game. Like I said, I was really hoping that we would see him play with Dwight Howard, but we didn't get to see that.
I think one of the things that you see with Boban in particular is that it's hard to fit somebody like him in our system because right now we have such a good thing going with our second group. For instance,
right.
Diaw's been playing fantastic.
Amazing.
God, he's been fantastic. These last 2 weeks, he's been fantastic. And West, he's just a solid guy that he ever is.
Just so what a freaking deal to have David West on the team.
We got the steal of the century with West.
Right.
And then I said before West that Diaw was our steal of the century. So now you have two big men that come in there, and then you still have Duncan and Aldridge who come in there. So there's very little space for Marjanovic to come in there and actually have an impact or maybe even be needed at situations. So I think he's in a weird spot right now. So maybe as the situations change, you'll start to see him play a little bit more. For instance, they played him a lot in the 76ers game because
right.
they played the trash can 76ers.
Right.
So it made sense to play him then. But I'm just hoping that he finds better situations that he'd be more well-suited for, is what I'm saying.
Right. And now I do want to talk about his three-point shot. So, of course, we did get video of him just nailing corner threes like nothing. And after watching that video, and, of course, I memed it, put it up on Go Spurs Go memes, but I just couldn't get over how beautiful his shot is.
Well, look at his free throw shooting.
The same thing. Like, he just has such a sweet shot. And, it was just like swish, swish, swish. It's crazy. And then I heard yesterday that during, what do you call it, run around in the morning, not run around, what the hell do you call it? Shoot around in the morning. They were talking about his ball handling skills and how good he really is with the ball. And he actually did some trick moves around Becky Hammon. And he moved her around, faked her out. Then he nailed a 29-foot shot in front of her. And they all were just like, oh, my God. and then they all realized, like, damn, no one was recording that. I'm like, how are you not recording this stuff? Because he's going to do stuff like that. But, I mean, I think that would have been the best video of all time to see him do that to Becky Hammon, who is so much smaller than he is. And she does work with him a lot. I have seen lots of videos with her working with him, which is really awesome because you can see her getting into him saying like, no, you need to do this, or, good job on this, work on this, watch your ball movement, whatever. Which is awesome because it just goes back to what we were saying earlier. He's just a sponge. He's just absorbing everything in. But, man, if we ever get into a situation where we start posting up Boban on a corner to drop those threes, can you imagine?
I think that would blow people's minds.
It totally would. I mean, if he gets a shot open, he's going to take it, and that bench is going to go crazy. The crowd is going to go crazy. I dare say if they're at an opposing team's arena and he hits a three, it's going to make them go crazy.
I think one of the things that what you might be able to start seeing, and maybe this is what maybe this is the angle that we're going. So Diaw and West are older, right? Marjanovic is younger, and you're going to keep Aldridge, obviously. Maybe this is the future starting center of the Spurs,
right?
To where you have him starting, and then you have Aldridge back at his natural power forward position.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm thinking about that, and it's just making my head just like go boop.
Well, all this is a credit just to the Spurs in general in the program. I mean, you mentioned Becky Hammon. You mentioned like how they just grab people that no one's ever heard of, and this is known for the Spurs,
right?
And they bring them up to the limelight because right now, I mean, it's still very, very early with Boban, but you can kind of see the beginnings of something great happening up here. At least, if I'm not going to say he's the greatest ever. The time will tell on that. But if anything, he's going to have a career in the NBA. I mean, right now, it's almost like they're slowly bringing back the big man on here. And what kind of big man are they bringing back to the NBA? One who could shoot a three.
Exactly. And I mean, if you really think about it, it was such a steal for the Spurs. He was the EuroLeague MVP. And just recently, he played on a messed up foot and helped lead, what's the team's name? Cervina, I always say it wrong. Cervina Zvezda. He led them to the EuroLeague championship. And it was a complete steal for the Spurs. And I want to say, I could be wrong on this, but I want to say Popovich said he had never seen Boban play until he came to camp.
Right.
And so that really tells you, too, how much trust Popovich has in his scouts and everyone else making those calls, because it was a complete steal to get Boban 2 years, I think, worth $1 million a year.
It was $1 million.
I mean, it was a complete steal. I just have to say, I don't want Boban going anywhere else. We need to keep Boban in San Antonio.
And he could. I mean, you got to think about it. This guy could be a celebrity here. Like, he really could eclipse.
Could be. He is.
No, I mean, but eclipse Aldridge ultimately. He could really do that if he really got improved even more. He could eclipse Aldridge, and not so much that he's a better player than Aldridge. It's just the sheer Bobanish of it.
Yeah, no,
I just don't know what way to put it. It's just it is.
Yeah, and then just one point, and then we need to talk more about the Spurs because we've just been talking Boban this whole time, which is cool. But the one thing that I want to point out, I know a lot of people are kind of surprised that he can hit 3-point shots, but what a lot of people don't know is that those EuroLeague teams, every position shoots threes. They're all taught to shoot that because that's the EuroLeague game. So it should come as no surprise that Boban can hit threes because that's what all those EuroLeague teams are taught. Anyways, on to the Spurs. So let's just kind of talk about them as a team, I guess we should say. So what was the first game this week? Was that Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Okay, Jack. So what did the stats look like for the Minnesota game?
So Spurs won 101-95. If you don't remember, that was the game that Timmy set out and Pop got ejected in the first half.
We started that game off so freaking ugly, man. Jeez.
They barely pulled out that game.
And that was actually the Boban game. Boban, led from the bench.
Yeah, that's right.
He did come out.
Had 17 points in 15 minutes. Kawhi also had 17. But you had 6 Spurs in double figures. David West had 11. He started in place.
Man, you can't.
Tim.
David West.
For real.
I mean, geez, just a freaking steal. I can't stress that enough. I can't repeatedly say that. He is such a freaking steal. He's so awesome to have on the Spurs bench. And I mean, when he gets into that game, he is so freaking active. He's ready to go. I mean, it's just so freaking amazing to see him in a Spurs uniform.
Yeah, Tony had 12 points and 7 assists. Pretty good game from him. Spurs shot 51%, which, considering how they started, wasn't great.
They looked really weak in that game.
They really did.
I mean, that was a game that they could really dominate the Timberwolves. And considering that they had just played them about 2 weeks previously and they just utterly dominated them, it was really disappointing to see how they came out in this one and then how they were like.
And
not quite
you and I
ready.
have been talking about this, buddy. We've been talking about the starts that the Spurs have had these last couple of games. They've been really crappy starts. I know you and I nitpick a lot about the Spurs. They are second in the West, second in the NBA. But, I mean, you and I do see things that we kind of mentioned. And I like to think that Buddy and I aren't the only ones seeing certain things that just don't look good for the Spurs. But these horrible starts need to stop.
Right.
We can't deal with them because if we go up against a team that can shoot, especially a team that can shoot threes, we're going to be in trouble. And I think we kind of saw that with the Houston game last night before we completely blew it open, is that, we gave up like 22 3-point shots to the Rockets. They only hit 9 of them. But, I mean, if you think about it, they hit a little bit more. They have a better percentage shooting threes. That game is a whole lot closer.
Right.
Same thing with their free throws. I think we sent the Rockets to the line 33 times to the line yesterday, but they only hit like 12 or 15 of those free throws. It was
Mind
really
you,
low.
Howard hit a lot of them, though. I was really shocked at how many he was
but if they hit more of them, they shoot at a higher percentage.
It's close.
That game's way closer than what it really was yesterday. And so, like I said, I just kind of want to address that. You and I do nitpick, but there are things that we're noticing.
And we nitpick because of the fact that we just need to be consistent as far as like I'm really very critical about viewing things through rose-colored glasses, right?
Right.
Because of the fact that if we look at it and we say, "Oh, we got this," well, yeah, it's just that we're not being objective as possible. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, for instance, we depend a lot on that second unit to come in there and actually energize them quite a bit. And I think at this point, we've taken way too many liberties with the second unit to where we're just hoping that they come in and bring the energy, and they bring that
And I
intensity
agree.
back, and then the starters come in. They're like, "Okay, cool, we're ready to go." Well, they should come in energized already off the bat. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too. Like if you notice when Manu's not playing, we don't get the same type of energy off the bench that what Manu brings. And Manu's not going to be there forever.
And then I think we depend way too much on his energy.
We
I
really
agree.
do on his
I agree.
energy and everything. And mind you, it is so much different when it's just Mills, Diao, and West that come off the bench, as opposed to the three of them and Manu. He just brings more energy to it, but we can't rely on that second team to get us out of a rut. Our starters need to start hitting shots.
Right.
And we kind of saw that again last night. Danny Green, 6 3-pointers.
And he blew up. He completely blew up yesterday.
Jesus. Okay, so Spurs beat Minnesota 101-95. Next game, Jack?
Phoenix, the defense came to play. Spurs won 112-79. Only one of the Phoenix starters, Brandon Knight, was in double figures with 11. As far as Spurs players, Aldridge had 21, 21 and 12. Kawhi had 19. Boris had 13. Spurs shot 56% from the field, only had 13 turnovers.
They hammered Phoenix.
They completely destroyed them.
Phoenix.
But I also think that if you kind of look at the team that Phoenix is right now,
Yeah, they're a mess.
that's a team that's just complete in disarray right now. It looks like Hornacek's probably going to end up being fired because I don't think he's going to be able to turn around that team. You still have the whole Markieff Morris debacle that's happening on the outside there that's not even having anything to do with the game. But you have a team that's just not working together. And you kind of have to feel bad for Tyson Chandler, because he actually, you can see him hustling out there. You can see him going for offensive rebounds, getting those slams and everything like that. But no one else is really doing anything.
Right.
At least that's the kind of perception I got watching that game.
I just think that with Bledsoe being out, Bledsoe was their best talent player that they
He
had.
really was. Yep.
You don't really have much outside of Bledsoe. Knight's pretty good. I mean, I do like Knight's game overall, but outside of that, I mean, they really are just sort of like a real big team of mid-level players. They have Booker, who's a starter now at this point, and Booker's not very good at all.
No, and the one thing I didn't notice, I'm just looking up stats right now. I didn't realize that Bryce Cotton actually paid. So if you remember, Bryce Cotton was a draft pick by the Spurs. He was playing in Austin. Suns called him up, signed him to a contract, so he's on the Suns team right now. But he actually did play. He played 21 minutes. He had 3 turnovers and only 2 points. But I didn't realize that he was actually in the game.
Yeah, that game was such a throwaway
It was
game.
it was just
a completely throwaway game. They just killed them.
Okay, and then the next game, of course, is the Rockets game, which was last night. It was just nice to see us actually turn it up another level and just dismantle the Rockets. But again,
It took a while.
it took a while, but I do got to bring up again, we gave up a lot of three-point shots. Rockets didn't hit them. Sent them to the line a lot. They didn't hit those free throws. If they shoot better, that game is much closer than what the final score indicates.
Yeah, I think that when the game that they lost on Christmas Day, Rockets, a lot of them had the games of their lives. We were talking about this. Terry,
they couldn't
Terry was
miss
killing
a
us.
damn thing.
They wouldn't miss anything.
Man, I
Lawson
hate
was
Jason
all over
Terry.
the place.
I hate Jason Terry, buddy. I hate him.
Do you hate Jason Terry?
Oh man!
Can you believe that guy was funny? I'm going to bring up a funny thing that happened during that game. They were down 23 at one point, and he hits this crazy 3-pointer right in front of Kawhi, and he runs down the thing doing the 3 thing, that little jet. I was like, dude, you're down 20. Fool. I was like, why are you doing that? I was like, really?
Man, he's just full of himself. Anyways, so we got more games coming up this week, and again, of course, we'll talk about them next week. Other than that, we will be back in a bit.
What's happening, San Antonio? This is Spurs Jesus, and you're listening to Go Spurs Go memes.
Hey guys, Clay here with the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast. Of course, I'm your correspondent in the street with Spurs in the city. Listen, folks, Boban Marjanovic, he is the ninth wonder of the world. Wait a second, wasn't China the ninth wonder of the world, the female wrestler? It doesn't matter. He is a wonder of the world. This man is huge. Spurs fans love him. In fact, I have found a Spurs fan here, and she is a ginormous Boban fan. Hi, what's your name?
Leticia.
And Leticia, do you love the Spurs?
Yes, I do.
Do you watch every game?
Yes, I do.
Can you give me a Go Spurs Go?
Go, Spurs, go!
Oh, my speaker just blew out on the recording device. Now, Leticia, I'm going to ask you, well, for one, you told me earlier you love Boban, right?
Yes, I do.
He's a big guy.
Oh, yes, he is.
And if you don't know Leticia, folks, how tall are you, Leticia?
4'6" and a half.
4'6.5", and she's clinging to that half, folks. She is a tiny person, but she loves the Spurs, and she loves the biggest member of the Spurs. Leticia, I have a pop quiz. Well, not pop quiz. It's more of a Boban quiz. Do you think you can take this Boban quiz?
Yes, I can.
You think you'll know all the answers?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to ask you a few questions about the San Antonio Spurs new player, Boban. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, she's excited, folks. Okay, here's your Boban test. What number is on his jersey?
Number 40.
Oh, good job, good job. Hey, what position does he play for the Spurs?
Center.
Oh, that's right, he's a big-time center. Do you know where he's from?
Serbia.
You are on fire, Leticia. Now, where was he born?
Serbia?
No, he was born in Yugoslavia. You see, Yugoslavia was this giant country, and when the Federation broke apart, Serbia was formed. So you're not exactly wrong saying Serbia. Serbia just didn't exist. So that was good. Can you name 3 of the 4 colors on the Serbian flag?
Red, blue, green.
You got 2 of them, red and blue. The other one would be white or gold. So no, you're still wrong. Good job. Okay, what about this? What language do you think they speak in Serbia?
English.
No, they speak Serbian. They speak Serbian, Leticia. Okay, what about this? What about this? Serbia is bordered by 8 different countries. Just all you have to do is name 4 of them. Name 4 countries that you think. Don't say Texas.
You're fine. You got me there.
No, come on. You got to name 4 countries in Europe. I'll tell you, it's in Europe. It's in Europe.
Belgium.
No.
Spain.
No. I'll give you a hint. One of them sounds like the thing before lettuce.
Netherlands.
No, Netherlands lettuce. No. Name one more country. Just one country in Europe.
Brussels.
Brussels, I don't think is a country, but that's close. Hey, you know what? You could have said, these were the right answers. You said the 8 countries. Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro, Bosnia, or Croatia. You didn't say any of those. It's okay. Here, we got another question. Spell Serbia.
Serbia.
There you go. Okay. How tall do you think Boban is?
7.
7, you're right. He is 7 feet, but he's actually 7'3", 7'4". It really depends on what store he's leaving. So honestly, yeah, you'd be at his waistline, maybe his quadriceps. You're tiny, Leticia. Now, what is 7'3" in meters?
72.
No, it's actually 2.21. You need to go back to school on that one. How old do you think Boban is? I'll give you a hint. He's not older than 30.
28.
Close. He's actually 27, but close, but still wrong. Here's a good question. Has he ever won an MVP award? If so, how many? If no, will he ever?
Yes, he will. And no.
He actually is a 3-time Serbian Super League MVP already. But yeah, here's hoping that he will win the MVP of the NBA. I've only got 2 more questions for you. 2 more questions. You can laugh out loud. She's trying to hold back her laugh. It's okay to laugh. Okay. As soon as she catches her breath, folks. She's got very small lungs. She's low to the ground. Okay, Leticia, spell Boban.
Boubon.
Wrong. Boban. Now, this is the last question. Spell Marjanovic.
Marjanovic. VICH?
Very close. It was MARVANOVIC. So actually not close at all. Let me see.
I got the first two.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But when you're trying to crack a 10-letter code, you don't just get the first two. Now listen, you did very good.
Thank you.
I have a prize for you for answering only 3 questions, by the way. Of all the... You only answered 3. Okay, listen. I have a prize for you right here. You see this napkin?
Yes.
At one point, someone who works at the AT&T Center wiped their sweat.
Okay, I hope it was him.
No, it wasn't. It was a guy who sells popcorn. And I found it, and here's your quiz prize.
Thank you.
Hey, you know what? For Spurs in the City, this is Clay. Leticia, can you give us a go, Spurs, go?
Go, Spurs, go!
Oh, my goodness. Sending it back to the guys in studio. I'll talk to you later. God, really, how tall? 4'6"? That's tiny.
You Don't Know Jack, brought to you by Jack the Intern. All right, so it's a brand new year. We're almost halfway done with the NBA season. Thought I'd look at some stat leaders, kind of educate the masses. James Harden leads quite a few categories, but unfortunately, it's not looking good. So yeah, James Harden, he does lead the league in minutes played, field goal attempts, also field goal misses. Free throws is probably the one thing that he does well. He's 312 for 358 in free throws. And that 312, the free throws that he's made is actually more than anyone else has even attempted. He does lead the league in points and minutes per game, but he also leads in turnovers. Steph Curry also is kind of your point scorer. Of course, everybody knows he leads in field goals and 3 points and 3-point attempts. Blake Griffin has your 2-pointers. Andre Drummond is a rebounding machine. Russell Westbrook leads in steals. And actually the only Spur that leads in anything is Kawhi Leonard, who leads in 3-point percentage. DeAndre Jordan actually leads in regular field goal percentage with actually mostly 2-pointers as well. But the one stat category that I found that was really interesting, and it just goes as much as saying, you know, how great of a defense the Spurs have, is this stat called defensive rating, which is actually an estimate of how many points the person would allow in 100 possessions. So whoever that person's guarding, however many points that person would score in 100 possessions. Most of your people, you know, from an offensive standpoint, the leaders are scoring, you know, 150, 140 points in 100 possessions. But here are your top 10. You've got Kawhi Leonard allowing 90.7. You've got Tim Duncan at number 2 with 91.1. Hassan Whiteside, the big center from Miami, at 92.5. Andre Drummond, the rebounding machine. And then you go LaMarcus Aldridge is 5th. Danny Green is 7th. Patty Mills is 9th. Boris Diaw is 10th. And Tony Parker is 15th. So that's what, 7 Spurs in the top 15. That's why your defense is so good. Individual defense, help defense. That's what makes the Spurs winners. You know, that's why they're doing how well they're doing. The other half of course, You Don't Know Jack. We got some games coming up. Your ticket info, you know, StubHub always better than Ticketmaster. Do have a game, you know, this Wednesday, January 6th, playing the Utah Jazz. That's a $15 ticket on StubHub. If you're a Knicks fan, you want to come see them. I don't know why you live in San Antonio if you're a Knicks fan, but their tickets are $39. Cleveland's coming to town on Thursday of next week, the 14th. Those are $80 tickets. But the cheapo ticket of the week is actually Monday, February 1st. So almost a month away. Orlando's coming to town. $9 to see. I can't even name anyone that plays for Orlando. But you've also got New Orleans for a $12 ticket. And then after the rodeo road trip, you know, get your rodeo groove on, and then you've got a $14 ticket to go play Detroit. And that's pretty much it. You now know, Jack, because Jack just told you so.
And that song means it's time to talk football. Bowls, bowls, bowls. Bowls everywhere. Jack, what is going on in the wonderful world of college football
Actually,
and bowls?
it wasn't that glorious because there were a ton of blowouts. we were saved last night. Of course, we're recording Sunday, so we were saved last night. The Alamo Bowl. TCU came back in 3 overtimes.
Oh, it's just crazy.
Down 31-0 at the half. I felt bad. Of course, the TCU quarterback Trevon Boykin was out because of a little too much fun down on
because he's an idiot.
Riverwalk.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's an idiot. Yeah.
But then, Oregon was rolling. 31-0. They could do no wrong. Their defense came to play, which was very contrary to how they ended the season. Their defense had really struggled.
Right.
But their quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. had got hit. I think maybe a concussion or something. And late in the second quarter, and the second half was totally different. Bram Kohlhausen was the TCU backup quarterback that played 28 of 45, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns passing. I know he ran another one in. Oregon in the second half only gained 18 yards.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Just real two totally. I've never seen a game that was so polarizing.
You know what's shocking to me is that I never understand this about, especially college, right? So college football teams, right? If you're starting quarterback, it's real rare that the starting quarterbacks go out in college football. So you get this guy who comes in there, this Kohlhausen, who I've never heard of this name, right? He throws 45 times in a game, mind you, right? You had that much confidence to get that guy 45 times in a game, and he probably didn't play all year.
Well, just so that you know, how it works for college ball is the quarterbacks, that whole group of quarterbacks, they all go through the same drills, everything. So, yeah, one may not get all the snaps in the game, but they all get the exact same training, everything. So that's why it's so easy for plug and play. One quarterback goes out, you can just put the other one in because that one already knows the playbook, knows exactly how the offense is going to run because they've run snaps with that entire line. So everybody knows exactly what's going on. So it's much easier to get in there and go.
So it's sort of like Baylor, they had to put the punter.
It's the exact same thing. Right. Exact same, and you saw how well they did. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just plug and play.
So besides that game, it was a lot of individual performances. Going back, you had the Military Bowl, Navy beat Pitt. Keenan Reynolds, the quarterback for Navy, is now the FBS leader in touchdowns. He had 24 carries, 144 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns, 47 receiving yards, and then 126 passing yards, another touchdown.
They just give him the ball and he just does everything.
Pretty much. For his career, he scored 88 touchdowns.
That's just insane.
That's insane. You had Baylor beat North Carolina.
I was surprised by that.
They came to play.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that.
5 different players from Baylor actually took snaps. 2 quarterbacks and 3 running backs. They all, what was his name? Johnny Jefferson, 299 yards from scrimmage on 23 carries, 2 touchdowns. Crazy big.
299.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette had another big game, 212 yards and 4 touchdowns when LSU beat Tech. I will say Texas Tech's quarterback, that Patrick Mahomes, he's a player. He's going to be good to watch in the next couple
He plays
years.
football.
True. Jared Goff at Cal had a great game.
Yeah, he did.
467 yards. The Louisville quarterback, Lamar Jackson, killed A&M. Had 227 yards and 2 touchdowns passing, and then 226 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. I'm waiting for someone to lose his job, pretty much.
Soon, I would assume.
It's going to be one or the other. Either someone's out, which Chip Kelly is now available. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we'll see how that goes. Dak Prescott had a great game. Mississippi State beat NC State. And then you had the New Year's catastrophe of the New Year's 6 games, which were all blowouts.
Yeah.
Average margin of victory was 24 points.
Let's just go over winners because it's no point. It's just blowouts. So Stanford killed Iowa. Bama killed Michigan State.
That was bad.
Ohio State
killed Notre Dame, which we all knew that Notre Dame sucks.
Clemson beat OU.
Right.
That was the closest to the video.
Yeah, but that was still kind of a blowout, wasn't it?
They didn't get to the
37-17.
Yeah, I didn't get to the blowout until the second half or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was pretty close for most of it.
It was absolutely nothing. All right, so on to NFL. Speaking of college coaches, I think Chip Kelly's going to find a home pretty soon.
You think so, or do you think he waits out a year?
I think it depends. I don't think he would go to A&M, honestly.
No.
But I think. Actually, yeah, he might wait a year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he
They
waited
were
a
saying
year.
something
just to see
about
what
him being an
happens.
analyst or something like that. I somewhere.
Well,
there.
of course. I mean, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
he's not
I mean,
coaching. You know,
Yeah, might as
he'll
well,
go
right?
make.
All you got to do is just write spend your checks. And
Yeah.
I really thought he had a really good chance to become the head coach at USC before they just gave it to that assistant coach.
Yeah.
That's where I thought Chip Kelly was going to end up going, was USC.
Well, think about
Another
a lot.
West Coast.
LSU, you know, there's a lot of potential that a lot of places.
But he
Oh,
might
yeah.
be
They
more
just
more
decided to go
potential
up
on the
there,
West
yeah.
Coast team. Is that what you're thinking? Like sort
Well,
of
I
like
was just
Pac-10
thinking.
kind
I
of
was
thing?
just thinking USC powerhouse, backing money, tradition.
Somebody was
Sounds
saying
like a-
Miami at one point or another, and I was like, Miami?
Nah, not Miami.
Not
No way.
Miami.
That's
well, they
just
got,
a waste.
Well, they got ricked anyway, so they
Yeah.
got Mark Rick. So
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't be surprised. He waits out a year and then sees what opens up. Like you said, LSU. I still think Texas is gonna. I still think Strong's gone by next year. So Texas to
They've got
open
to
up.
win 9 games.
Yeah. And then what you call it? Sumlin may be gone as well.
Yeah.
A&M. So I mean, there are some opportunities for some big money schools that'll pay.
Very true.
So
very
we'll see
true.
what happens
Oh,
there.
and I think the other one I called this. The Colts have said that they are not going to keep Pagano. Is that who they're
yeah,
calling?
Chuck Pagano.
Who their coach is? I think they're going to go after Saban.
Ooh.
I don't know what Saban will say, but I think that he will.
Saban was such
He
an
will have
utter
some offers.
failure in the NFL. Why in the world would they want to do that?
And
But it's so
he's talked about
different.
it later, and he's figured out why. When he
Because he's a jerk. Because he's a flat out jerk. The guy is just, he has like no self reflection in himself
disagree.
at all.
No,
I think he's
he
an
realized-
amazing coach.
He realized that in the NFL you have to have a quarterback.
Yep.
And
He had Marino.
no,
No.
was
Didn't
after-
he have Marino for like a
he
couple
was,
years?
He was
No,
after
no, no,
Marino.
no. That was after.
I'm sorry.
And he had the number 1 draft pick, and he chose
yeah, I don't know. Who
like
they-
a defensive end or a lineman. Like
Right,
he,
right.
he made the wrong, and he'll go back and he'll say, "I made the wrong choice. I should have taken Dante Culpepper with that pick, and I chose whoever the other person
that
was."
still probably would have been a bad
Talk
choice.
about hindsight.
That
though.
still would have been a bad choice.
Well, it was
either
such a
way.
long time ago, too. You know,
Nobody
It's
knew
been
that
a
Dante
while.
Culpepper was going to be Dante Culpepper at that time. There was
that
no
is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hindsight,
No,
yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
But it is hindsight. Yes.
That's
But
super-
no,
Anyways.
I could see him going to the NFL and really doing well. But as far as Week 17 goes,
Dun, dun,
all
dun,
the
dun.
games are today, and a lot of playoff, not necessarily playoff spots. Most of the playoff spots are pretty much set, but a lot of seeding differences. In the NFC, you've got Carolina and Arizona, which they'll both be the 1 and 2 seeds, but Carolina has to win and have the Panthers lose. That's the only way Carolina can be the number 1 seed.
That's so crazy considering they were like undefeated for such a long period of time.
for real. The Packers and the Vikings have a game. I think they're the night game. They're actually playing for the NFC North. So whoever wins that game will be the 3 seed.
Packers are a mess.
And then you've got a bunch of between the Redskins are already the 4 seed.
Right.
But you've got between the loser of the Packers Vikings game and then the Seahawks. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts there. In the AFC, it's a lot of the same thing. The Patriots are pretty much going to be the 1 seed unless they lose and Denver wins. And then let's see what else. You got the Chiefs going kind of crazy. There's the whole thing with the Jets and the Steelers, which whoever wins there gets in.
How many straight has the Chiefs won? 9, right? Correct?
It's either 9 or 10.
Yeah,
God,
something
it's
like
ridiculous.
that.
They're
It's
going crazy.
crazy.
And then you've got Houston, which pretty much has to go.
Frank is smiling over here. I can see him.
Houston pretty much, if they win, they're in. If they lose and Indianapolis wins, Indianapolis needs like 7 teams to win. It gets down to like strength of victory and strength of schedule.
That just shows
There's
the
a
trash can that
whole
the
bunch of-
NFL is this year.
Yeah. Pretty
The NFL is a big trash can of teams this year. It's really bad.
Pretty
like
much.
I don't know how the Texans are even in the conversations for the playoffs at this
And
point.
they are, yeah.
Shut up.
Go Texans.
That was pretty good, Frank.
That was
Anyways,
that was his contribution. Shut your mouth.
I guess we'll end it on that note. Shut your mouth, buddy. We'll be back in a bit. And we're back, and it's time for On the Fly. Today on the Fly, we will be making our way too early predictions for 2016. So who wants to start?
I think Frank should start.
Frank? Frank? Frank. What's your way too early prediction for 2016?
Way too early prediction.
Way too early
I
prediction.
predict that in this election, 2016, that it will be a contest between, listen to me,
Listening?
Here we go.
not Donald Trump.
Oh,
I still think it's going to be, oh, what the hell? We're just going to say, let's say Cruz and Bernie Sanders.
ooh.
Who takes it? I can't predict that far.
Okay. Buddy, what is your way too early prediction?
I predict, and since I'll stick with the sports motif here.
Okay.
I predict that the starting quarterback for your Dallas Cowboys next year will be Johnny Manziel.
Oh.
Starting, wow.
Starting.
Oh. Jack?
I'm gonna piggyback off of yours because actually, yeah, I had
did I take
not
yours?
not only will Johnny Manziel be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys next year.
He'll take
But-
Tony Romo's wife. Ooh, that's a good
That is a pretty good one. That's even better. That's even better than mine. No, I was gonna say Tony Romo is gonna get hurt in week 4, causing Johnny to start the rest of the season, make the playoffs, and actually win the Super Bowl, but not really just because of Johnny Manziel, but because of running back. My mind totally just.
There was a hug on your
Wow,
words
that
right
was
now.
everybody was just kind of watching you and like, I forgot.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
running back Terrell Davis.
Running back Emmitt Smith.
He comes out of the
No,
shadows.
who was the running back the Cowboys had last year?
DeMarco Murray.
Herschel
yeah.
Walker.
Oh, that's
DeMarco
actually,
Murray.
That's actually a
DeMarco
pretty
Murray
good
is
one
that's
right there.
actually a very good
I'll just say that DeMarco Murray will be a Cowboy next year.
Okay,
Ooh, that's a
very
good
good.
one. Ooh, it's gonna
So,
be a
so
fun
I'm
off-season
going to do
then.
mine right now, but we're going to just kind of keep
Let's
going.
go around.
We'll just keep going around till we're over it. Okay, so my prediction for 2016 is, as we all know, Star Wars: The Force Awakens has been breaking box office records nonstop. They just passed number 2 on the list, so they just passed Avengers: Age of Ultron as the second biggest movie in North America history, and they are like right on the back of taking over Avatar. So my prediction for 2016 is that Star Wars: Force Awakens will defeat Avatar and become the biggest movie in North American history. But I also say Batman versus Superman, Captain America: Civil War will not come close to that film, revenue-wise.
I agree.
Okay,
I can
those two
completely see
films
that.
will not come close to the amount of money that Star Wars: The Force Awakens makes.
I think because those are much more. I mean, Batman has a better chance. Captain America has no chance.
Yeah, I don't
absolutely.
But
No.
Batman has a chance. They'll be in the top 5, I think. Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think either one of those.
Where did Man of Steel land in all of this?
Man of Steel was about 600 million. That's where it ended. 600 million. So I think Batman and Superman will get close to $1 billion, and I think Civil War will get close to $1 billion, but they're not going to get anywhere near what Force Awakens makes once their run is over.
That turned Star Wars into a global phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
That's really what
It
happened.
already was one they just
The
rekindled.
only
it.
place that it's not even in the top thing. Did you even read this?
No.
The only place that it's not in a top thing is in Japan. And you know what the top movie in Japan is over this right now?
What?
You're gonna laugh at this. It's this new phenomenon that's like a Pokemon. It's called Yokai Watch, is what it's called. It's like this movie, this animated movie, and that one is beating Force Awakens over in Japan. Right
Wow,
now.
that's interesting.
It's hilarious.
Okay, Frank, your next prediction.
Next prediction. All I can think of political stuff.
Whatever you want to say, it's fine. Do it. I like it. Do it.
Okay. I'll say this. I'll predict that the gas prices will stay level up until the summer, and we're going to see about $3-4 in gas.
Ooh.
Oh.
$3 or $4?
I'm just guessing.
Oh,
Okay.
Are these good predictions?
I'm
or
not
just like
yes. This
Frank is going to grow a
exactly what I
second
saw.
head kind of thing? Is that what?
Do you honestly think that I think Bernie Sanders is going to get the nomination? It's
possible.
It's possible.
Well, I'm saying if he does, well, then there you go. I'm going to cash in on that. But hold on, I'll make another prediction.
We'll wait till we
Next-
come back
No,
around.
you get another round.
We're just going to keep going
All
around.
right, let me
Okay,
shut your mouth.
buddy.
Okay. My next prediction is then I'll go with the political realm here. So let's say that Hillary Clinton wins the nomination in the Democratic convention. I say that she will pick Julian Castro as her running mate.
Ooh. That's
I think it would be almost a no-brainer to do that. Think about it.
Interesting.
You have all of the woman pick here, and then you get all of the Hispanic pick on the other side. You basically have like
a woman Hispanic sandwich.
exactly.
Delicious.
Think about
Jack, your turn.
This is why I don't run for office.
That's funny.
what none of us do.
Okay, we'll stick with the political stuff. With the new open carry law,
Which you're branding right now. It's awesome.
Which we all
Fantastic.
have our guns on us right now as we're recording.
Got a Glock.
America.
I think you see the murder rate in Texas go through the roof.
Really? I am going to disagree with you on that.
actually gonna
Something
disagree.
like that. but-
Very interesting. Okay.
You know, the one thing I will say that's going to happen with that is that I really think that you're going to see a lot of these things where, like, well, he was threatening me, so I had to shoot him, and no one has any proof.
And that's why.
And nobody, like,
That's why.
I will give a good example. It's really quick. So this a couple days ago, right? This has happened on the side on Ingram and Coulter here. Some guy says he was getting quote unquote carjacked. At
yes.
midnight. At
Yes.
midnight, okay. And he shoots this guy. He had the open carry thing going on, and the guy didn't kill the guy, right? But my first thought was like, okay, first of all, who carjacks anybody at 12 midnight, right?
I
First
got
of all,
cousins.
it's possible. Second of all, how do you know for sure that guy was getting carjacked? How do you know for sure that who proves that? That's the thing.
Yeah,
And
I
so
mean,
that's,
it
to me,
really does
that's-
become a he said, she said.
Yeah, you could just start shooting people for funsies. Basically, is really what it comes down
They
to.
said this about concealed carry as well. Like
Yeah,
we're going to be
it's
the open
true.
way. I don't think much is going to happen, but it'd be an interesting stat to keep a track of.
I'm with Jack on this one, though.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to stick in the political realm as well. And my prediction is that Bernie Sanders will win the Democratic nomination. And as his vice president nominee, he's going to select Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Oh
actually.
man, that would be a
That
kick
would
to the
be it.
groin and on all levels up there.
Could he
That's
possibly
my
pick,
prediction.
Could he possibly pick Clinton?
You know, honestly,
No,
what I'm
he
going to
will
say
not
is like,
pick Clinton. Nope.
honestly, I really think it's the Democrats' time to, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, I agree
But,
with you.
However, the thing that interests me, especially in my realm of work, is what we're looking at. What you want to look at are the local governments, and you want to look at state things. Now, again, with an election year, that will usually lean towards the party that's going to win the presidency. However, with the Republicans, they've done a fantastic thing in getting all these
Gerrymandering.
government, all the local state governments and everything. They've got a lockdown on there, and see the minute that changes, we'll see what happens at that.
Yeah.
But now for my prediction.
Okay.
I will predict next year, August for the football season next year, college football.
Okay.
I will win first place in our yearly college pick'ems.
Ooh, that's a good prediction.
Buddy?
Write it down. Well, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
It's
buddy?
gonna be on audio. It's caught forever.
Yes, buddy.
All right, let's see. My next prediction, let's see. I'll go back to the sports realm here, okay?
Okay.
I will predict next year that Duncan will not be playing for the Spurs. He will be retired. He will be as an assistant coach, and we will have, this is an easy pick, of course, Marjanovic is starting.
Woo.
That's what I think.
Woot, woot. Okay. Jack?
Go Spurs.
Go Spurs.
I'm going to say the Texas Longhorns will go 10-2 next year
Oh,
That's a bold prediction, my
and
friend.
save Charlie Strong's job.
Wow.
wow. That's a very good
That's a good
prediction.
one. That's a good one.
Ray.
Here's my prediction, and it's not going to be a popular one.
Oh, no.
I say in 2016, the Golden State Warriors will repeat as NBA champions.
You know what? I'm glad that you said that, not
I'm
me.
going to say it. I'm going to say it.
He's
They're
trying to
going to
break my heart.
repeat. They're going to repeat as NBA champions, and Tim Duncan retires at the end of this year.
I was gonna say something more like the East is gonna win the
No.
NBA
No.
championship.
No.
That would take a. That would.
I
be
Is this
completely
your
agree.
prediction or mine?
not in a million years.
Hold on. I want to add to this. So I think Golden State's going to repeat. I think Tim Duncan retires. I also think Steve Kerr retires because of all his back issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Okay.
I think he's having more trouble than
And
what he's
I'm
saying.
going to add a couple more things to the NBA. I think Kevin Durant signs a 1-year contract to stay in Oklahoma City and will become a free agent at the same time Russell Westbrook does next year in OKC. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to add, I think after the end of the year, the Knicks get rid of Phil Jackson because he's done absolutely nothing for the franchise.
I can see that.
You're doing all mine, right?
Oh, sorry.
So anyway,
Sorry.
You only get one.
No.
It's my podcast, buddy. I can do
Mike,
whatever the hell I want. Damn
Someone
it.
kill his mic.
Somebody turn
mute,
Buddy off.
Mute.
Okay, Frank, go ahead.
Well, I predict that Phil Jackson will get fired next year, and he will no longer be the coach to the what is it, the Knickerbockers.
Well, he's not the coach right now, Frank.
I'm sorry.
And that's why we
I
don't let you
predict he
talk,
will
Frank.
be in the coach up there.
Oh, hey, that's a pretty good prediction.
You know what?
think
No,
that
no.
he'll
Let
be
me
the
think
coach?
about that up there. Will he be a coach? Okay, I'll say this: he
Okay.
will go back to the Lakers.
Ooh.
There's a lot of bad blood there now.
There
though.
really
I'm
is.
wondering
I
if that
don't
will even happen though.
But isn't he
I
still-
don't even think he'll go back to coaching. I think he's having a lot of health issues, and I think that's why he doesn't coach now.
But isn't he still with Jeannie Buss?
Yes.
That's still happening, right?
Yes, it is. But something happened where there's some kind of fallout where I don't think they come around each other, like as far as Lakers and him, for instance.
I
know
don't.
what
I don't
happened.
think he wants to be exposed as a coach who builds up a team from the bottom. I think he'd rather be a coach that just has someone fantastic. And
I
move on
agree
to
with
it.
you.
I mean, he's got as many rings as he has. I mean, I can't criticize him for that. You did have Jordan. You did have Shaq. You did have Kobe. You move on to the Knicks, not as a coaching area, but you can't do anything with them. So
Yeah, very
What's
true.
up?
Buddy, you got one more? Or are you done?
I think my crystal ball is broken right now.
Okay, Jack, you got one more? Or you done?
Let's call it.
Okay, that's it.
wait, I got one more.
Okay.
Oh, go.
This year, the podcast, we reach 1,000 plus a lot of listeners. We go national.
We already are national.
We are pretty much national now.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Let me say that
We're international
We will
now,
be.
too.
We will be.
There's somebody in China listening
Dan
to it.
Patrick, the Dan Patrick Show. You know how they have Dan Patrick 2, which is Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen.
Yeah, we'll be the Dan Patrick 3.
No, very good.
We just need some sycophants and like a really big studio, which we got a pretty big.
Well, we got a
Call
very
us the
big
Rayettes.
studio.
We got the studio
No,
down.
the Rayettes.
The Rayettes.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of podcast number 19. I'd like to say thank you to my fellow cast members here, Frank, Buddy, and Jack. Thank you guys for bringing it every single week. Happy New Year once again to everyone at home. We hope you have a wonderful 2016 and that you continue to hang out with us here on the Go Spurs Go Meme podcast. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube. We will be back hopefully next week. That's what the plan is. Cross fingers. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. And as always, Go Spurs Go.
Last one was 20 minutes. What do you want here? 15?
15.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I don't want to go too long.
Okay, let's go.